Welcome to Downward Dogma, a podcast that explores and challenges today's authority system. Join us as we discuss the ingredients and functionality of our current framework and explore some possible solutions. Prepare to have your awareness of today's political terrain expanded. And now, your hostesses, Jennie, Tasha, and Sarah.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Downward Dogma. Tasha is on sabbatical, so you'll have myself, Jennie McDaniel, and Sarah Murphy. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Beautiful weather over there in the east?
Not at all. Not at all.
Overcasty?
Yeah, I looked at the weather this morning, and there isn't a day of sun in the projected forecast that was posted. So
Going to have to take your vitamin D supplement.
Exactly.
Well, we have a part 2 to follow up with our show last week. We are doing 45-minute shows, so we often might do a part 2 to get some other details in that we wanted to. But last week we talked about the future of business, and there's just so much there. I thought maybe we'd dig back into that a little bit, and then maybe second half of our show go into what it's like to be a full-time mom and full-time business owner and how you're dealing with that in the quarantine. So let's start with future of business. I want to start off with some good news for any of my healer friends. I just posted on Facebook an article that I read that psychic work, mediumship, spiritual advisory, I guess we'll call it, and tarot cards are up 140% in sales. So if that's of your forte and you're interested in holding space for people in places like that or in spaces like that, that is up as far as the economy is concerned, and I'll have to get who I got that from. I'll find it on Facebook and give you guys the link so you can do a little reading on it. So I thought that was great news, 140%. Doesn't surprise me with all the chaos that's going on. And the title of the article said, can you get some clarity in a psychic reading? And, of course, the numbers are showing that people are trying it at the very least to see if it helps them.
Yeah, I love that. It does not surprise me at all. I actually have recently kind of stepped forward as someone who can help with business coaching, mindset coaching, that type of thing. And one of the very first people to reach out to me asked if I did readings. And I was like, what sort of reading are you looking for? And, it's not at all what my page says. It's not at all
That's awesome.
Part of what I've said. And she kind of clarified, like, any kind of reading. I was like, well, no, but I can certainly make some recommendations as to the people that you can reach out to. But I thought it was so funny for a number of different reasons, but also slightly concerning. And Jennie, you would have a much better perspective here, but from someone who straddles that line between the two worlds, I'll say, but is a business owner myself, as are you, I oftentimes feel that people use the clairvoyant realm as a crutch instead of a tool. So I know, when I first reached out to you, while I didn't quite know what I needed from you or wanted from you, I did have a pretty clear understanding of what I was trying to get out of the overall experience. I think the very first time I was we did a past life reading, and I specifically said, I think there might be some lessons learned in past lives or in, parallel lives that can help me kind of get past this hurdle that I'm experiencing right now. But if you're going to go into it completely blinded, just hoping it gives you answers or fixes or solves things without being willing to do the work, I think that you put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of by people with these skills, because the people with these skills are, again, they just have a tool for you. They can't fix your problems, but they also don't want you to be upset with the results, right? So I think it's an interesting dichotomy. I guess just like anything, if you're seeking for answers outside yourself, you leave yourself open for maybe not the most pure of instances to occur.
Exactly. And I think that is a huge karmic lesson lesson that a lot of humans are working on in this time frame continuum. You can see that with the medical community, people just blindly handing over their health to the doctors, blindly handing over 10% of their income to the churches, blindly following rules. So I think we're dealing with a type of person, and I agree, and that's why I often will call myself a psychic healer or a teacher or just a healer, because I don't like what just the word psychic pulls in. Very commonly it pulls in the victim. And I am not into victimhood. I want everyone to empower themselves. So when they call me looking for that crutch, I knock their legs out from underneath them and help them build a stronger foundation of, yes, I can look outside myself for answers and ideas, but I have to have a firm understanding of who I am so that I don't get caught up in a cult or a bad situation or a bad relationship or a bad job for that matter.
Right.
So I really think this is a human thing where we really need to take more responsibility for our health, our spiritual understandings and outlets, as well as seeking help in a responsible way. And you said it beautifully, where I am a tool for people to utilize so they can heal themselves. As a massage therapist, you'll be amazed. You'll have people who have worked hard labor job for 20 years coming in thinking one massage is going to take care of them.
Totally.
And I'm like, no. Let's flip this around so that we can get something done here and we can work together as a team. And they're like, well, I'm paying you, a lot of money. And I'm like, but you have to work with me. If you go to a physical therapist, you have to follow their guidelines and go see them up to 3 times a week. I'm asking you to do some light stretches, be conscious and live inside your body, and work with me while I try to help break down your muscles that you've kind of jacked up for the last 20 years. So I kind of have to put the ball back in their court every single job I have, which I love doing. I love empowering people and showing that they are in charge of their health. They are in charge with some variations. We're not 100% in charge, but mostly we're in charge of our choices. And again, there's some situations that come up where we're pressed hard and might only have one choice, but often we have many, and especially with our health. I think it's this instant gratification where people are like, well, let's just get a surgery. My wrists hurt. And I'm like, do you stretch your wrists? No.
Right.
How about your forearms? Never? Going to go for that surgery, huh? Okay.
Well, again, relating to something that you posted regarding vaccines or something, it was actually about, I think it was a meme, and it was someone who said, like, I have not heard one single doctor post about eating healthy, exercising, whatever, as a way to, like, avoid COVID or to, help yourself heal. And that to me is like, well, yes, I haven't either, not any of the mainstream doctors. But I think back to when my first daughter was born and they wanted to give her a Hep B shot, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's something they give infants or newborns in the hospital generally. And I mean, you, Jennie, and myself, we probably didn't get Hep B until we were like 18 years old, because at the time it's, it's a sexually transmitted disease for the most part. You can get it in very few other ways. But it is not something that we got as children, but now it's something you give newborn babies in the hospital. And so I asked my cousin, actually, who's an ER doctor, and he's like, well, to be honest, we give it to them then because we don't know that we'll ever see that child again. Not everyone's really good about bringing their kids in for the routine visits. And so for me, I'm like, well, I'm definitely going to bring my baby in for more routine visits. So I'll just wait until their immune system is a little bit stronger, and we'll come back in. And so we did a delayed schedule, which is not recommended by the CDC. It's not recommended or even supported by most doctors. Why? Because when you skip vaccines, chances are you're going to miss vaccines. And so all of this around our common medical environment isn't necessarily representative of what our doctors believe is right or what our doctors believe is even best case. It's what our doctors think is manageable for the average American. And so when our doctors aren't out there saying, eat your vegetables and get your daily exercise because that'll keep you healthy and, less likely to get COVID or you'll heal faster. The rest of us Americans are basically out there like, yeah, what pill do you have? Is there a shortcut here? It's like, yeah, we have a vaccine. Oh, okay, well, let's do that. Except for the other part of the people that are like, well, I don't want the vaccine because that, that's invasive and you can't control my body. And it's like, all right, people, like if you showed an ounce of personal responsibility for your health, then we wouldn't have the highest obesity rate in the world. We wouldn't have the lowest, nutritional value. Like, it's just crazy to me where it's like, although study after study after study shows, like, if you take a multivitamin, it's basically running through you and ending up in your toilet water. We still spend $1 billion a year on vitamins and supplements instead of exercising and eating right. It's a wonderful thought exercise.
It's a wonderful thought, and all of those are tools. Supplements are tools. Something about supplements that I've learned is if you buy the cheap brands, like the Walmart brands, they are never going to digest you're never going to get the supplement. It's going to go right through you. Buy a reputable brand of supplements. Oftentimes you'll get them in powder form, in capsules, so it's dispensing in your system. I do like supplements. I also think it's a crutch, where I know people who in Boulder would do a bunch of cocaine and drink all the time, but they took their supplements and they were vegan. So I'm like, all right, do what you want. I'm not here to tell people what to do, but I'm saying balance is everything, and they're tools. You can't just take supplements and think you're cool to eat whatever you want. You can't just work out and think you're cool to think any thought you want and keep your body healthy. It's all collective. It's a cooperative, and that's where I think we fall short as Americans, because we want that quick fix. Like you said, we have the biggest obesity problem, probably diabetes problem, heart issues. We are an unhealthy country, and COVID is bringing that more than ever to the table and to our awareness, which is we need to get a handle on our sugar intake, our carbohydrate intake, and the quality of carbs and food that we're getting. And that's just a blanket statement, I know, and I know a lot of people can't afford these things and live in food deserts and stuff, but overall, that's what I wish for everyone, is the access to some good whole foods. I don't necessarily even have to push vegan diet, which I don't follow, by the way, but if they say it's the most healthy, I think it's all debatable, really, at the end of the day, for each person and what have you. But yeah, getting those whole foods and quality, I think it's incredible how I've seen memes go around where they're like, a fresh apple is $1.25 and a large fry at McDonald's is $1.25. So you're seeing kind of like, or I think most Americans live definitely paycheck to paycheck. They don't have the extras to eat healthily all the time. And again, I guess none of us have had the time to always eat healthily. But again, COVID bringing to the table opportunities to cook at home or at home.
Cook and to grow your own gardens. I mean, if you look back into the last Great Depression, or I think it was right after the Great Depression with World War I, II. Terrible at my dates. Most households had what they called a victory garden, and it was an attempt to feed the families despite food shortages and rationing. And that largely went away, obviously. But I think a lot of people are back planting gardens. One, time-wise, people have more time to do it. But also there's this kind of, well, what happens if there continues to be disruptions to the food system? And, I have always had a green thumb, but not a ton of time. And now I'm finding that I have more time, and so we have a little garden going. Is it enough to feed our family? No. I literally started everything from seeds, and I ended up with only 5 radishes. So we're going to have 5 radishes. We've got a lot of tomatoes and zucchinis and a lot of that stuff too. But it just gives you like a whole new respect for the people that are out there growing our food. But hopefully, additionally, it'll help people understand the difference in taste and, start to see the impact of things like soil, right? So, like, I don't ever really think too much about the soil that the stuff grows in that I'm in the grocery store, right? But suddenly I'm putting these seeds in the ground, and I'm like, I hope my soil is good for this. Like, I don't want these to taste poorly because the soil's not, appropriate for whatever. And so I just love that it kind of makes you think about things in just a little bit different way that you wouldn't necessarily be thinking about otherwise. But now when I go back to the grocery store, I'll probably think a little bit more about those things.
Yes, appreciation. It's a beautiful healing energy. And we started a small garden too. And it was a process. We started some from seeds.